Hey, Tropical Smoothie Guy, why is organic vegan protein powder a very good idea? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's go over the Tropical Smoothie Nutrition Guide on protein so I can help you out. All right, so you can see it right here, but we're going to zoom into each section so we can go in it a little more detail. All right, so let's do that. That's the sound of closeness. Okay, so 68% of all diseases in the US are diet related, and that's from the US Surgeon General report. That's good news and bad news. It's good news because it tells us that many of the diseases are preventable because, we are in control of what we put in our mouth and ultimately eat. It's a little discouraging in the sense that there are so many people just maybe suffering in silence or maybe just going with the flow and accepting internal inflammation and a lot of other pain as the new norm. But let's really process the problem. And so as you can see a little pie chart here, this is the US food consumption as a percentage of calorie intake. And processed foods for the United States makes up about 63%. And animal food makes up about 25%. And plant food only makes up about 12%. And so it's kind of low. Here's the thing to know about processed foods. Processed foods destroy your endocrine system. Your endocrine system consists of hormone regulating glands that stimulate your metabolism, reproduction, blood pressure, and appetite. Now, the question then comes, how many servings of veggies and fruits have you eaten in the last week? Because the average American gets about 10 to 15 servings of fruits and vegetables in a week. Now, sometimes a lot of those vegetables are from, French fries or even ketchup, which really almost don't even count, but they do, a little bit. But what we know is that animal food, in this particular study, shows that animal food has cholesterol and saturated fats. And when there's an imbalance of cholesterol, the bad type especially, what it does is it increases your risk of having heart disease with regards to clogged arteries from the plaque that builds up. I know my mom had to have triple bypass surgery to avoid this from happening, and she still has stents and veins in her heart to try to prevent that. But what's interesting is that animal foods don't have fiber, but plants do. Plants are the only type of food that have fiber. And what's really interesting is that fiber helps to reduce that bad cholesterol and bring things back into balance and reduce chances of heart disease, which is amazing. What's even more interesting is that, these processed foods here, the cravings and a lot of things go down once we start introducing plant foods that are really, really good for us. Okay, so what is the solution? I mean, we've kind of processed the problem a little bit, but it's the tropical smoothie solution. And so this information can be found at tropicalsmoothieguide.com, where I provide fruitful information right here. And there's actually a little page where you can, especially on the homepage, you can sign up to get this actual guide for free and other guides that are informative. But as we'll talk about why this is a very good choice, did you know that blackberries have the highest amount of fiber per cup compared to all the other berries? It has 7 grams, which is a lot more than the other types compared to raspberries, strawberries, and even blueberries. So that's some interesting berry information for you to add to that organic vegan protein. So let's talk about the 3 benefits of plant-based protein. Okie dokie. So the first thing is that it burns fat. That's my sound effects for fire. Okay, so some of the things that I would encourage you to do, because I try to do this as well as much as I can, is go sugar free. What? Are you serious? How can you be a tropical smoothie guy by going sugar free? Don't these fruits have sugar in them? Hold on, I'm gonna cover that. Don't worry. All right, so all natural and 0-calorie stevia is one of the best alternatives to artificial or processed sugars. Okay. Processed sugars jack up your blood sugar, then leave you low in energy. It's kind of a love them and leave them mentality that processed sugars have. I don't know why. They need to learn a better commitment strategy. Anyways, any excess calories from sugar are stored as fat and not burned. That's no bueno. So I would recommend that if anybody gets sugar, it should, number one, be from fruits, because that's how your body best recognizes them. So it's kind of like, long lost elementary school friend that you had, like if I were to saw my best friend from elementary school, his name is Adam Bowen. I still remember his first and last name, and that was like third grade, if I saw him, I would probably recognize him. And that's the same thing your body has with regards to sugars that are from natural sources. They recognize them, but when they're from artificial sources like high fructose corn syrup, which is really high in calories actually, that'll put on pounds real quick if you eat a lot of that. But then aspartame and even some Splenda and some other stuff like that, yeah, you get into 0 calories, but your body doesn't recognize it very well, and it can cause a lot of different health issues, especially because those are considered more of toxins with regards to how your body handles them. And then even sugar alcohols can cause things such as bloating and constipation and a lot of issues because your body's, you're not getting the calorie credit, but there are side effects. All right, so with that, another thing I would go soy free as much as you can, right? As much as you can, because soy is one of the biggest endocrine disruptors, which messes with the hormones that regulate your metabolism and appetite. And you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with burning fat? Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, if your metabolism is a lot lower, you're not going to be able to burn as much fat. And if you're eating a lot of soy or a lot of it over a long period of time, that can affect your ability to burn fat. And then obviously appetite is important. If you don't feel like eating, that may be one thing. This is more to the side where if you're, overeating on the other flip side. So if slow metabolism is not going to allow you to burn fat, overeating could, potentially put more calories into your body where you're not able to burn them off. And then some of it's stored as fat. So it's kind of a burn versus store standpoint when it comes to fat, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit right here. But with that, we'll go on to builds lean muscle. Look at that arm right there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, so easy digestion is sorry, I was just grabbing the arm right there. Okay, easy digestion. So cold milled and minimally processed ground pea and hemp proteins are very easily digested since the cell walls are broken down, which allows for better absorption into your muscle tissues. That's really, really good because if you want to build lean muscle, you want it to be able to be broken down by your body and processed and absorbed correctly so it goes to the right places at the right times. Next thing I would encourage, okay, so don't get mad at me with this section, please. Don't get mad at me. Okay, so go dairy free. Oh no, I can hear everyone who loves ice cream, yogurt, milk, and protein whey just digitally slapping my mouth right now. All right, anyways, here's the truth about it. Whey is overly processed, and animal products like whey can be harmful to your endocrine system because they come from cow's milk. Okay, so here's the thing about cow's milk. All right. Cow's milk contains casomorphine, which is an addictive bonding hormone that the mother cow produces with the calf. If you've ever eaten ice cream or other things that have dairy in it, it's hard to just eat one bite. Now, you could say that for a lot of things, but there's an actual hormone called casomorphine in milk, and whey is derived from milk. So that's just something to consider. And cow's milk could contain steroids, especially if it's non-organic, which can have side effects to your own body because steroids ultimately help cows grow bigger faster. But whenever something is growing at an abnormal rate, it could affect hormones, it could affect your body in negative ways, and ultimately these are side effects. And in our country, the US has seen more incidences of heart attacks, strokes, and even cancer than 100 years ago. Now, they may have been suffering from different things 100 years ago, like polio and some other stuff that we don't really have as much, but so it's kind of trading issue for issue. But the point is that this stuff can have side effects. The next thing that milk can contain is antibiotics. And so what this can do is create a resistance to antibiotics. What? So if anyone I don't take any, antibiotics anymore because I rather, instead of killing the good and bacteria inside of me, I rather just try to strengthen the good and let that fight off the bad bacteria, just beat it up. All right, but anyways, antibiotics that are used in cow's milk because, the cows typically get infections from being milked for 9 months. I mean, can you imagine, I'm not trying to be gross, but can you imagine being something suctioned to in part of your body for 9 months, maybe not straight, but, just for, I mean, that's a long time. So you can imagine your skin and everything's kind of just get strained. And so they give them antibiotics to help them fight off whatever they have going on, but that passes through the milk and it can create resistance for us for antibiotics if we take them to fight off colds. So it's a crazy vicious cycle. And then finally, the less desirable thing about milk that you may or may not know is that there are acceptable levels, stated by the government, of sanitized pus inside of cow's milk. And this is, again, because the mother cow's udders are being infected from being milked for so much that, and then the milk is being pasteurized to then kill off the bad bacteria. And what that also does is, because the milk is being pasteurized, and that's a fancy term for just heating it above 116 degrees, it kills the enzymes, lactase, which then does not allow the body to process the lactose. And so it makes people lactose intolerant. There's a lot of different issues, and so that can occur with that. But the main thing here is to know is that it's milk is, it just contains sanitized pus. It's just been heated to the level where the bad bacteria has been killed, but it still passes through, which is not good. Okay, alrighty. So, that was a breather, fool. I think we need to take a break or something after that. Anyways, all right. So go non-GMO. What? Genetically modified plants like soy and corn have unknown side effects and complications for your endocrine system as well. And so GMO, I mean, basically, there are people in labs genetically modifying and tampering with the DNA, seeds, plants to make them grow a certain way or have a certain color or fight off a certain type of insect or be able to just do certain things. And we don't really know the long-term effects that it has on our body or even endocrine system when it comes to our metabolism, appetite, like I mentioned up here, reproduction, blood pressure. I mean, this stuff is, because by the time they do a study, they already got something new out, and it's already in the food supply, which is crazy. And a lot of, some areas aren't even regulated that well, so stuff can sneak in, and you may not even know it. Maltodextrin is derived from corn, and that's in, some things that you probably wouldn't expect. And because it's cheap, and it's, a lot of these things are government subsidized, so it's something to consider. Again, I'm not trying to scare you off, but I'm just, want to give you the facts when it comes to protein. Okay, so now let's talk about having more energy. Woo, I need more energy right now after all that. All right, so what you want to do is go organic. So pesticides, herbicides, artificial flavors, and preservatives, steroids, and antibiotics are toxic chemicals that may be in non-organic foods. These toxic chemicals are stored in your fat cells and can affect your mind, mood, and sleep significantly. What I'll add to that, and what is interesting, is that when these toxic chemicals are stored in your fat cells, when you work out or burn those fat cells, or when you eat right, those chemicals are then released back into your bloodstream and in your body, because those fat cells are being burned, essentially, like we talked about here, but those toxic chemicals are still in there. And so we may have cravings, or we may have other weird side effects because of that. And so that's just something to consider with regards to, toxicity. And really, the goal is to reduce it or eliminate it as much as you can. I've tried to do that for a long time now. Well, just, especially focusing, for the last year or so. But yeah, that's really important. And that can affect your energy. Toxicity can zap you of energy when you have a lot of it, and it's just affecting your body and just making you feel crappy. Okay, so the next thing I would encourage is to go raw. So raw plant foods keep the enzymes alive for better digestion and absorption. Foods that have been heated above 116 degrees kill or deactivate all the enzymes. Our body's ability to produce enzymes on its own decreases with age, so getting them from raw plant foods is critical. And so fruits and vegetables are your best bet. If you eat greens, when I eat greens, they're raw. They're in my tropical smoothies. When I do fruits, they're raw. Now the question then becomes: are frozen fruits, are they heated, or to kind of kill off any initial bacteria or bugs? It doesn't state a lot of times, even on organic packages, if they've been heated or treated with anything. But that's why the safest bet is to go organic and go raw when it comes to your fruits and vegetables. Obviously, frozen fruits are more convenient. You can just kind of dump them in there. You don't have to cut them. You don't have to peel them. You don't have to, if it's a pineapple, you don't have to take all the outside off. You know what I mean? It's nice, but it's a little more work. But, it's good good food for thought. All right, the next thing that I would encourage is to go rice free. What? Are you kidding me? Rice free? Man, all this fun is just being taken away from me. No, okay, here's the thing. I just want to give you the facts on it. So a lot of rice and protein supplements are sourced from China, and this increases your radiation exposure potentially or toxicity due to the Fukushima disaster and Japanese trade winds. And you can check more of this out on my blog where I linked to that video. There's been a lot of nuclear fall off and disasters that have happened over the years. But here's the thing. There are trade winds that can carry a lot of that toxicity or nuclear fallout to different parts of China where the brown rice or the rice in general is sourced. Okay, so going rice free and choosing dark greens, peas, and hemp instead are better options. That's really your best bet. Okay. So if you want to eat, you know, what I'm saying if you want to eat rice, I'm not saying don't eat rice, but I'm just saying like when it's in supplements, that's just, you know what I mean? You don't want that Fukushima coming back. All right, so the Whole Foods philosophy. What? You drop a philosophy on me? Yeah. Okay. So what all these numbers mean? What all these numbers and all this stuff? All right, recommended servings per day are in green right here. The little hand is, you know, grabbing that 6 plus. Woo! All right. Anyways, all right, so greens are number one, and you want to get the most of that, and you want 6 plus servings of that every day. That's a lot. And so you know, I put some of my favorites right here, but it's kale, it's collards, and it's red Swiss chard. So those are what you want. Ideally, you want organic, right? Because then it doesn't have the toxic pesticides, herbicides, all that craziness. The next thing that you want is a variety of vegetables and different fruits because different colors give your body different things, okay? And the vegetables, you want mostly raw, and this is the second most important. You want 3 to 4 servings. And so these are whole foods, right? And that's important because, you know, sometimes it's hard to get, you know, fully raw vegetables and eat them and really like them, especially if they're not in a smoothie or something. But, you know, obviously all the plants come with fiber and they come with nutrients. It's just the enzymes is what will be lost if they're not raw, but, you know, here's the thing. Just for starting out, I would recommend people do 60 to 80% raw fruits and vegetables, including the greens and fruits here. That way, and then when you eat, you know, as long as you're mixing in the raw and the, you know, maybe cooked foods, that'll help you out a lot. Okay, and so you notice there's no meat on here. And, you know, I'm not saying go vegan, go vegetarian or anything, but I'm just saying this is the whole foods philosophy that I live by and something that's really important for me. And so the next topic is fruits, and I recommend getting them all raw and 2 to 3 servings per day. And if I could get my fruits to stack like that, that would be pretty cool, right? I mean, you got a strawberry, blackberry, blueberry, and raspberry all. I don't know, that's defying gravity right there. But anyways, I usually mix the fruits with the greens and then put a little bit of ice and water in there and call it a day. I have a blog post on, you know, how to make a really great tropical smoothie, and it's really simple, quick, and easy. But this is really, really fun. Okay, so the next thing is legumes, and so you can see kind of a full color spectrum there as well. And the recommended thing for that is 1 to 2 servings of that every day. And if you don't get the exact numbers, that's fine. It's just a lot of it is in principle. I get a lot more, you know, greens and fruits actually, but that's just something. You know, and beans are great. Beans and rice. What? Rice not sourced from China. And then whole grains is the next thing. So 1 to 2 servings of that, and so you can get some quinoa. I love quinoa, and you get some oats. You know, you can get some other really great, some whole grains that are really high in fiber and stuff like that. And notice it doesn't say raw on any of these because my teeth would hurt if I bit into a piece of bean or, you know, ate some of these grains. You know, chia seeds are really, really good too. Really high in fiber, and that is an awesome way to kind of cleanse you out and detoxify you as well. So chia seeds are great whole grains. So are oats, and, you know, they have good fiber, and then quinoa. So those are, you know, kind of my 3 that I roll with. No pun intended, because there's some rolled oats there. All right, nuts and seeds. Those are the other thing. Okay, so you see a little bit of a spectrum there as well. You got some, let's see here. You got some chestnuts, some almonds right there. You got some walnuts. And those might be chestnuts. I can't tell if chestnuts or Brazil nuts. We're just gonna call them Brazil nuts for today. Okay, 1 to 2 servings. I have a little confession. I'm slightly addicted to Brazil nuts. They're really good source of selenium, but they do have a really good nutty flavor. And I bust them open and I eat those things like probably way too much each day. I probably get like 5 servings. So, but that's okay, right? That's it's confessional time, so that's all good. All right, and then you got unprocessed oils and natural sweeteners. And so there's a stevia right there, and then you got some coconuts. Now, I love coconut oil, especially when it's organic, raw, unprocessed, or unrefined, because then you got those medium chain triglycerides. Those are really really good for it's a good healthy fat, and it's really 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 good for you. And I love coconut oil. It's amazing. It's a great carrier oil for other things as well, but just amazing. And so 0 to 1. So if you get 0 to 1 servings a day, that's fine. And and then ultimately, how I can serve you better comes in. And I encourage you to check out some of my other guides. I have one on omegas, superfood drinks, trace minerals, smoothie supplements, and then my craziest story. There's a 2-part series on that. And so you can check that out actually on my website, on my homepage. And there's a little section on tropical smoothie nutrition guides, and I provide more information on that. All right, so when you want to learn more, tropicalsmoothieguide.com is the source. And this concludes today's protein. Why organic vegan protein powder is a very good idea. Because there's berries right here and there's berries right there. That's why. Okay. All right. This is Tropical Smoothie Guy signing out. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.